Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh boy.
I'm not an experienced public speaker, so it'd be easier if I just read this word for word. In fact, I've been reading this daily the past few days and pretty much know it well by now. It was a tip in a book that I read about public speaking. I've also been drinking excessively the past couple hours. I made that tip up myself. For those of you who do not know me, my name's Ian Kalangis. I'm Brandon's taller, slightly older, single, and sensitive friend. Before we get started, I'd like to say how nice most of you look tonight. I'm glad to see some of you made an effort. I'd first like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Hopkins for such a fun and memorable evening, and for also blessing us with such a beautiful daughter.
Yeah.
I'd also like to thank Christy and Marty Joseph for raising such a remarkable man and putting up with me in all of the years. Also like to thank the bridesmaids who look gorgeous tonight and for keeping Mo in check all day. And also the groomsmen who look gorgeous as well. Second to last, the bartenders who've been working overtime to keep the drinks flowing my way. Keep it up tonight, please. And last but not least, Brandon and Mo for having me here today. Mo, you look very stunning today, and it's clear you're making Brandon more handsome than he actually is. When Brandon first asked me to be his best man, I was truly honored. The first thing you feel when you're asked to be the best man is shock, then disbelief, then anger, acceptance, dread, and finally here I am in the 7th stage, dying a death. I first met Brandon in 6th grade homeroom, which seems like a lifetime ago. His last name beginning with J and mine beginning with K. We were pretty much forced to sit by each other since day one. In our middle school days, Brandon and I were very different in taste. Brandon liked to listen to Blink-182 and Alkaline Trio, and I didn't really like music. Brandon was into baseball, and I was only into hockey. Brandon dressed well, and I pretty much wore hockey jerseys to school every day. Today, I'd like to thank Brandon for opening my eyes to music and realizing that hockey isn't the only sport out there, and wearing hockey jerseys will not get you girls.
Yes, it will.
The beginning of high school is where Brandon and I's friendship really took off, and I'd begun to consider Brandon one of my best friends. I was pretty much a wild child, and Brandon had to be there to keep me in check at times. There were many occasions when Brandon had the look on his face of, Ian, is this a good idea? One time in our early high school days, I thought it'd be a smart idea to be holding a BB gun in Brandon's car when we were in a crowded Wendy's parking lot grabbing dinner. Brandon, of course, assured me that I should not be having this BB gun out in public. Long story short, when we arrived back to Brandon's house, we had to explain to the Crystal Lake Police Department and Brandon's mother, Christy, that I did not have a real gun. Someone had called the police and reported Brandon's license plates when they saw the BB gun. Thank you, Christy, for not strangling me. I appreciate it. And sorry, Brandon, for almost dragging you into the criminal lifestyle. That incident was a point where I realized I needed to take it down a few notches and listen to Brandon's voice of reasoning. Outside of school, Brandon and I began to hang out a lot more and expanded our group of friends. The rest of our high school days were filled with many bonding and memorable times. Late night bonfires, struggles to find beer, and in Brandon's case, fruity drinks. Many road trips around the Midwest, attending Blackhawks games, and any other shenanigans out in the good old Crystal Lake area. Those times brought us together as a group of friends. After high school, we went our separate ways to various colleges across the Midwest. And you would think that after not seeing someone every day to only seeing them during winter breaks and summer, a friendship would drift apart. But that was not the case with Brandon and I. We made the most of our time back home during winter breaks and summers. One of my most favorite memorable times with Brandon was right after graduation, when he graduated from Indiana and I had actually finished up my first internship. We both had some downtime on our side and decided to take a last-minute trip to Florida after a well-deserved relaxing time. We made zero plans for the actual trip and booked a flight and hotel less than 2 weeks from departing. The whole trip we pretty much rode out and reflected on our crazy lives and what the future had in store for us. That is one thing that we always were so strong between me and Brandon, that our friendship, we were pretty much like brothers. Now, Brandon hasn't always been the ladies' man that you see before you today. Oh no, in high school, Brandon was actually scared of having conversations with any girl he was interested in. And our group of friends took it upon ourselves to give Brandon the courage and a few pointers to actually talk to these girls. Brandon took it upon himself to brush up on his women's designer purse knowledge. And before you know it, he transformed into the Brandon you see here today. Because of this, I'm not sure if Brandon or Mo is the lucky catcher today. Speaking of Mo, you're not getting off the hook here tonight. The first time I met Mo was at a Blackhawks game during the spring of 2012. It is interesting to think that the girl Brandon would one day be marrying would also meet almost all Brandon's close friends at once and be thrown into the fire right away. Brandon, I'm sure, wanted to be on all of our best behavior to not scare Mo away. When I first met Mo, I remember instantly liking her because she was a nice person and it fit in with the group of us right away. The first time a group of us all hung out with Mo without Brandon, we played a prank on him. Myself, Mo, and Nick Williams were all in on this prank. We were, of course, at a Blackhawks game. Nick and I both texted Brandon and informed him that Mo was intoxicated throwing napkins out of the suite. In reality, she was perfectly fine and enjoying the game. She then added to the prank by texting Brandon confirming she was hammered. Brandon was not happy with this and almost drove to the game to come pick up Mo. Before it got to that point, we all texted him and told him it was just a joke. He wasn't too happy, but eventually got over it. As Brandon and Mo's relationship continued, she easily transformed into our inner group of friends. On St. Patty's Day of 2013, I stopped by Brandon and Mo's place for a bit to hang out with them before I continued my day-long drinking binge. That day, Brandon said something to me that I'll never forget. When Mo wasn't in the room, he told me, "Dude, I think she's the one." And at that moment, I knew Mo was going to be around for the long haul. She made Brandon happy, and in return, I was happy for him. Brandon is absolutely someone I've always looked up to. He has a successful career rolling, and today he married the girl of his dreams. Brandon, you have the world going for you, my man, and I'm excited to see where the future goes for you. Mo, you are a warm, loving, caring, and beautiful person who deserves a husband who will cherish you for your entire life. Brandon, it's a good thing she picked you before she actually found one. Mo, remember, men are like wine. They start out like grapes, and it's your job to stomp on them until they mature into something good. I'd say Brandon's just about there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience, and a few of you that actually laughed during this. To conclude my speech, I am truly honored to be part of this life-changing event. I will always cherish the friendship between Brandon and myself and the new friendship I've made with Mo. All in all, I wish you both the best in the future. So let's raise our glasses to the one I will have in a few seconds. To love, to laughter, and to happily ever after. Thank you.
Yeah, Ian.